Tokugamuchirai kudare ravamhizha ratinotaura nhau dzakasiyana siyana zvichienderana nemunyika yedu yeZimbabwe, Africa. Iko zvinezvi Zimbabwe iri kuenda through kuda kuvandudzwa kwemutemo. Saka today we are going to discuss the statement which was done by the Justice Minister Ziyambi Ziyambi at a youth meeting in Harare. I will give a summary of it, then I will invite our vadare vedu kuti vape muono wavo and kuti what does it mean to the constitutional making process of Zimbabwe. So in a nutshell, this minister gave the process that is going to take place, which means he did the first reading of the bill, when then it was which started the 90-day period of consultations, which he says the consultations were overwhelming. And so then there's going to be the parliamentary process after that. So there's going to be a second reading of the bill, and then the members of parliament will go into debate. They will debate the bill. Then after the debating of the bill, then it will come for the third reading, where they will be going line upon line, articulating every issue, and the committees will be submitting their findings, and then whatever, then it will go to the voting process. So it is the voting process that I think we need to zero in on, because what he said was to say they are going to use their parliamentary chief whip system to align the ZANU-PF parliamentarians to vote whether in favor of the bill, and in his own words, he said it is going to be an open vote, where those who say no will stand on one end, those who say yes will stand on one end, and there will be a clerk who will be taking the register of who voted on which position. And then, and as he also emphasized that those who will not go according to the party has got the right to recall them, because they will cease to be members of ZANU-PF. And I think to me, this seems to be a violation of our human rights. So that's the position, and that's the statement that we want to discuss, giving our views and what it means. We have got powerful minds in the house, in the form of Vazembe, who is a lead. He's a politician in his own right, and he is a governance expert, and also a business person. And we have got Dr. Whitehead, who is a war veteran, and he is a seasoned analyst of the systems, is particularly those of the political systems in Zimbabwe. We have got the Joker, who is going to keep us in balance. His credentials is not known yet, so we might know it by his contribution. So that's the opening of our debate. So we'll give each other an opportunity to talk, and we proceed that way. So maybe to start us off, let's start Nalazembe.
Yes, let me take this opportunity to greet you, Ramija, Padalira Mija, and then I also extend my greetings to fellow discussants, Whitehead, and also Rajoka. The first thing is this is an appropriate topic. We have just heard these utterances by Ziyambi Ziyambi, who is Minister of Justice and also Secretary for Legal Affairs in the ZANU-PF political party. His utterances are completely ignorant in the sense that he does not know that Zimbabweans expect to be having a system of government where public officials are elected by voters to lead the nation as members of parliament and as local councillors. Now, there is the executive arm of government, which is made up of the cabinet, which is a team of leaders or ministers who are given executive functions to lead various ministries. They constitute a cabinet. And those people who are members of cabinet are appointed from the members of parliament. So the first item of ignorance from Ziyambi Ziyambi is that he is not aware that parliament is a people's gathering, in the sense that that is where the representatives of the people of Zimbabwe gather to perform functions of creating rules and regulations, that is to say the law, among other things. Now, this discussion is taking place at a time when Parliament is in the process of considering enacting a law, which is called the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026. And in that process of creating the law, it should be 100% people's representation from A to Z. What it means at every stage, the voice of the people should be clear in the parliamentary process of enacting a law. The parliament is not an assemblage of political parties, like Ziyambi Ziyambi would want us to believe. It is not an assemblage of political parties. Parliament, it's an assemblage of people's representatives. And as people's representatives, it is human beings who represent human beings. Human beings are a natural phenomenon. That is to say, they have a life, they enjoy life, they suffer pain. Like if they are not clothed, so human beings want mishaya houses, homes to stay in. They want clothing. Human beings want shelter, and human beings want food. And these are goods and also services that are required in order to live as a natural phenomenon, as a creation of the Creator. There is a big difference between a natural human being and an organization called a political party. A political party is not a living organism. A political party is not the one that is elected in elections to represent the people. The political party has no life, natural life, we know. So a political party, even if you go in terms of the constitutional understanding and electoral laws, a political party cannot become a candidate in an election. Why? Because it is nothing. It is not a human being. It has no life. It's not a biological organism. So Ziyambi Ziyambi is telling blatant lies to talk of the parliamentary system that he says of a whipping parliamentary system. When MPs, that is members of parliament, either as members of the National Assembly or members of the Senate, represent natural human beings who belong to a geographical area called a constituency. There is 210 single-member geographical constituencies in Zimbabwe. And in each constituency, electors elect just one natural human being in an election. And the winner, just one natural human being, will be responsible for the interests of everyone who live in a geographical area called a constituency. That single representative, who is called a member of parliament, has to represent everyone, not just members of his or her political organization. So Ziyambi Ziyambi is lying and has to be told that he is totally ignorant about the representative democratic system of governance that is in Zimbabwe, which this nation went to war for. That of one elector, one vote. And that vote is a decision. This is why Zimbabweans go to elect a representative called an MP through a secret ballot voting system, which means that each citizen who will have attained the age to make a decision makes a decision secretly and cast his or her vote in the ballot box. There is no name on the ballot paper of who has actually voted, but that vote represents a decision to appoint a public leader as an MP, member of parliament. So Ziyambi Ziyambi must know that members of parliament represent the people, and therefore, when it comes to enactment of important legislation, the law, the rules that have an impact on the natural lives of people in a country decisions that are made in Parliament should be truly representative of the people's views, the people's ideas. Now, it is very clear that people of Zimbabwe have unanimously rejected the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 ever since it was promulgated to this day of our discussion. So as we proceed with the parliamentary system, every member of parliament has to make a decision that resonates with the aspirations of the people, with the views of the majority of the people in their various constituencies that they represent, not the views of a political party or organization. And when we go to the voting system in Parliament to have the 2/3 majority, there are different methods of voting. For example, the one that Ziyambi Ziyambi suggested, that of dividing the members of Parliament by saying those who are for the bills stand on one side and those who are against the bill stand on the other side, is just one method of decision making. And that method is not secretive. It is open, but there are other methods, like a show of hands. Again, that method is not secretive, because everyone who votes yes for the bill will be seen, and everyone who votes no will be seen by all in Parliament. The third system of voting is by acclamation. That is simply by saying yes or no, and anyone adjudicating would make a decision based on the sound by the majority. If the yeses sound greater than the noes, then they will say the yeses carry the motion. Now, the fourth method of voting is the secret ballot method of voting. Now, in Parliament and also in many organizations, like in companies, like in churches, like in NGOs, like in anywhere where there are contentious issues under debate, and the best way of making a decision is that of the secret ballot. And in many systems, members are free to demand a secret ballot voting system. And that is what the MPs in Zimbabwe must demand, because the secret ballot system does not show who has voted yes and who has voted no, particularly given the fact that this is a fundamental decision, given that whatever the bill is trying to do is so fundamental that it affects the foundation of how Zimbabweans are governed. So the citizens of Zimbabwe are demanding that members of parliament should vote through a secret ballot. And in that system, definitely people's representatives will vote according to the majority citizens of this country, what they wish, and no one would know how those members have voted except that the votes will indicate truly the aspirations of the people. So, Chairman Misha, I rest my case here, having made a statement that the parliament is not for political parties, it is for human beings, and that political parties are incapable of representing the people in constituents. Political parties are not candidates. Political parties can never be candidates. Political parties are simply titles of groups. And you know, when the four of us constitute a group here, but each one of us is a human being, an entity. So a group is nothing like a political party. It is nothing. It has its functions, but those functions are not as Ziyambi Ziyambi as stated. So Ziyambi Ziyambi has threatened members of parliament, is threatening them. The whips do not represent members of parliament. No, they influence decisions, but each member of parliament must make a decision through a secret ballot that represents the views of those who have sent that member to parliament. In other words, the views of the people, geographical area, natural human beings. So let me rest my case here now. This is the first bite. My apologies, it has taken a little bit long because these are a bit complex matters. They need to be clarified so that our listeners can get the understanding of what we are debating. Back to you, Chairman Misha.
Thank you so much, Wazembe. In our next discussion, let's try to synthesize our contribution so that we move with different voices at different intersections. Joka, do you want to come in, or you want to come in after Whitehead?
Ndatopo.
Okay, kana mapo tokugamuchira ndozviziva kuti matodungirwa kudhara.
Okay. Firstly, let me just greet the panelists there and say I'm also very happy to be part of the panel. And as you know, people always differ, and I hope we always find time and space for each other in this discussion. Okay, then jumping on to the story, without actually objecting or saying Mr. Zembe what I was saying, I'll just put my my parts of the flesh also. Now, I think, in my view, the minister actually explained what is going to be done, and I don't see anything wrong in that, because yes, Mr. Zembe has given 4 methods of conducting the elections. So if there are 4 methods, their being there actually means they can be used. Kana tati kune zvinhu 4 zvinoreva kuti chimwe nechimwe chinotoshandiswa, chinogona kushandiswa. So picking one is dependent on the person who is speaking and what the outcome might be, or what the outcome is intended by that person. Now, if you look at the minister, what he said is, remember, I 100% agree with you, say, the previous speaker, when you said the MPs are representing a constituency of a lot of people. And that is what happens if you look at geography. We always have a sample. A sample represents the whole area. The same thing applies to the member of parliament. The member of parliament is representing the constituents. We can't have the whole constituent in the parliament. But now the fact that remains stubborn is that that person has got to represent what that constituent is saying. And I think you have heard that there's been an overwhelming response about that bill from the constituencies. And then now, if we now, because the problem is that nowadays there's a lot of corruption, a lot of payments, a lot of this and that. Now, if we allow such a person who is representing a constituent that is overwhelmingly supported the bill to vote in a private, if that person has been paid, then he ceases to be a representative person. Because if he is a representative, he must show or represent the people that he's representing. Right now, we are talking about parties. Yes, there's some, there's ZANU-PF, there's I don't know other parties, what MDC or what have you. If you are a representative of a party, it means you follow the doctrines and the manifesto of that party. You don't need to hide. If you don't want what is in that party, you rather than just step down and go out. But as long as you are a member of that party, you must be open enough. And we must also see that you are actually representing what that party represents, what that constituents also represent. So I think in him choosing that method of one behind the other, that would have been the best thing. Because I thought, back to you, Misha.
Thank you, Vajoka. Vajoka vari kuti concur with the Vazembe kuti yes, MPs they represent the constituencies, and I think he is also reading from the narrative that says the people have spoken resoundingly supporting the bill. We have seen some people with boxes full of ballot, full of what is it, petitions to say they are supporting the bill. And I've just also listened to Talent Chiwenga saying he's in favor of the bill, and we have also heard the indigenous churches grouping, which is would they put their petition to say they are supporting the bill. We don't know. Maybe Whitehead can take us through to say where the consultation, a true representation of the views of the people in the constituent, was everyone consulted? And if so, if the evidence that is before the parliament is indicating more petitions in favor against those ones, what would then mean? Because Joker is now saying, if the constituent they say they supported the bill, so the member of parliament, when he votes, he will vote according to what has come from his constituents. Whitehead. I'm muted, Mr. Whitehead.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Loud and
Am
clear.
I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bazembe, by outlining the process that is supposed to be, or the method that are used in Parliament. Without taking anything away from Wajoka, let me put about the 4 methods that have been mentioned here. They are all permissible. They are all permissible. It is true. But let us not forget the type of voting that we are going to, the type of voting that we are persuaded to go through. There are instances where ordinary bills don't need a secret ballot. Is either yes or no, or by acclamation, like Dr. Zembe was talking about. But when it comes to matters that affect the lives of people, and there is a fear that those who want to vote don't want to be seen because they might face some repercussions within their organization or within their grouping, then you have to resort to a secret ballot. I want to agree with Bazembe that the statement by the minister is a narrow understanding of the process of the matter at hand now, which is the constitutional amendment. It's not an ordinary bill or an act of parliament. These are 2 different things. The Constitution is a backbone of a nation. Any change, it affects the people, not political parties. So, Ziyambi Ziyambi, I think he mistakes the caucus process and the parliamentary conduct. If he was talking to a caucus, he was right to say what he said. That would be a ZANU-PF caucus. But I think he is failing to put a distinction between a political party caucus, a political party that is in parliament, and the parliament itself. Parliament, it does not belong to a political party. Parliament belongs to the people. The bills that are presented before Parliament come from the people, are proposals or suggestions by the people from different constituencies. Therefore, you cannot equate them with your caucus area there. What happens in ZANU-PF, which Ziyambi Ziyambi knows very well, in their own political party, when they are electing a chairman, either at a district level or the top 6, let me talk about the top 6, at any level, starting from a branch, district to province, the executive of a branch consists of 104 people. And out of that 104 people, that's a full executive. There are positions up to number 6, which is starting from the chairman, the vice, the secretary, and the treasurer, the commissar, and the security. These positions are elected through a secret ballot, not by show of hands. Then these other positions, you can make a show of hands or berekamwana. Why is it so? Because those positions are important. So they need a secret ballot so that they reflect the aspirations of that electoral college at a party level. That's what is practiced in ZANU-PF. Therefore, you cannot say now you are coming to a parliamentary process where there is a proposed amendment of the constitution, and you say you will whip people to vote in a certain manner or in a certain line that suits your political party. Therefore, it is no longer a national issue now. It becomes a party resolution like they did with their resolution number 1. When it comes to parliament, it ceases to be a political party agenda. It becomes a national agenda. Therefore, it is imperative that secrecy be exercised. The problem with ZANU-PF is that I think I've said this before. ZANU-PF take decisions on Monday from the security sector. On Tuesday, what they discussed on Monday, or the president, what he discusses with the security sector on Monday, is presented to the cabinet. The resolutions of the cabinet on Wednesday are taken to the Politburo. And the very same day, on Thursday morning before Parliament, members of Parliament are called for a caucus so that they are given directions on how they are going to debate in Parliament. So I think Ziyambi Ziyambi fails to understand the difference between that process of ZANU-PF and that of a parliament. Maybe because there is the ZANU-PF has made it a point that the government is answerable to the party. So he thinks, therefore, the parliament also must be answerable to the government. he does not put a distinction or understand that a legislator is an arm which forms a three-legged pot. And these legs are independent of each other. None of these legs are dependent on another. They are independent. So it is the stances taking can even be challenged in court, because he has already told the people that at this, on the reading or at the voting pattern, he has told the people that if you don't vote for this, I'll fire you. Whether by way of secret or by way of show hands, people has already been told how to vote. Then the system itself becomes or loses credibility. It becomes unfair practice. You do not tell people how to vote. So that's my submission and that's my understanding, Chairman, in agreeing with the Dr. Zembe. I also understand Bajoka, where he's coming from. The patterns of voting, there are two types in Parliament. Those of making laws or crafting of acts, they don't really need a ballot box. They can vote by show of hands and so on. But the Constitution is not a subordinate of a parliament. The Constitution is supreme to parliament. Therefore, its operation cannot be decided by parliament. So if they are subjected to vote for any change, it has to be by a secret ballot. That's my understanding. Let me rest here for now. Thank you so much, Chairman. Back to you.
Thank you very much. It's becoming very, very, very interesting, especially if we have got some opposing views. Before I go to Vazembe to respond to one of the next question I wanted to pose, Vajoka, do you have anything to say? He is muted. Mr. Zembe, we have all said there are two processes, four possible voting processes in the parliament. One is show of hands, one is dividing the house into two, one is a acclamation, and the other one is a secret ballot. Who decides which methods get used? Can the citizens have an input into which method Parliament can use in dealing with such a critical issue? Over to you, Dr. Zembe.
There is a parliamentary practice. They have a committee of orders and something else. It's a long name. That subcommittee deals with the procedures in parliament. And right offhand, I can't be conclusive regarding who really decides on the voting method. I need to do some research on that one. Just as well, if you may allow me to make my remarks after I have heard the Whitehead and also a joker. I do concur with everything that the Whitehead said here, particularly when you take the fact that it is the people's business that must be transacted by Parliament, always. Always. So the question is, we may have to define who the people are. But I will say that the people are a national phenomenon. That means all people of Zimbabwe. So when we say the people, it's a full definition of all people of Zimbabwe. So Parliament is a national institution, government is a national institution representing the interests of all citizens of Zimbabwe. Whereas a political party is a partial organization that represents members of that political party's interests. Clearly, a political party can never equal the people of Zimbabwe. Never. So, a political party is not a national institution, therefore. It represents only members of that organization and perhaps also the interests of supporters. If one is not a member, one could be a supporter. But with the national institutions, Parliament and government. So what Ziyambi Ziyambi said, that the party is supreme, is uninformed and ignorant in terms of the system of government that Zimbabweans are having. The party sponsors individuals to be candidates in elections. And once the candidate becomes nominated, they enter the national race, not partisan race. The national race to represent national bodies, to represent the people in their totality, either as a member of parliament or as a government minister or officer. Therefore, all decisions that are made by parliament and by government institutions should represent the people, not a political party. This is why Whitehead have said the Constitution cannot be subordinated to the interests of one political party. Never. So the political party can never be supreme to the extent of dictating a constitutional order for 16 million Zimbabweans. There we have actually dismissed the claims by Ziyambi Ziyambi. Therefore, back to what members of parliament should do. They should make decisions on behalf of the people in their totality. Thank you. I needed to make that clarification, then very emphatically.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vazembe. Vajoka, muchiripo era. I know Whitehead he is just, I think he maybe his network is giving him challenges. He's dropped. Vajoka muripo ere? Maybe vanenge va. I had wanted this broadcast to be around below an hour. I think vawaited vadzoka. Vajoka vanenge vamboti nyararei havasi kunzwika. Mr. Whitehead, I asked Ziyambi to say we all agree that there are 4 methods of voting, and I was just asking who then decides which method get used for, especially for a serious case like ours now. And I think he will go and waita tsvagurudzo vanogona kuzova nemhinduro, but maybe munogona kunge muine some insight yekuti how a decision is made in terms of which method do we use, and can the citizens influence which method, and if they can influence, how can they do it? Over to you, Whitehead. I think Whitehead baba vaenda futi. I think kana vajoka vasipo, I will give you Ziyambi to give your closing remarks, and also what message are you giving to, one, the citizens of Zimbabwe, and number 2, the parliamentarians, especially when they are faced with this mounting challenge of deciding for their constituency, what position to take with respect to the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3.
Thank you, Amesha. Very quickly, my concluding remarks are that members of parliament should know that they are on national duty, not partisan duty, and that they will be strategic in making a strategic decision, a fundamental decision that will affect the future governance of this country. Therefore, it is important that they become replicas of the feelings, aspirations, and views of the majority of our people. They have had enough expressions, and that also we have also had even the constitutional case that was heard yesterday of 2 matters that were brought before the Constitutional Court relating to the same subject of the fundamental constitutional amendments. The members of parliament must also know that this nation went to war for making fundamental decisions of governance by citizens of this country, each one making a secretive decision on who should be in public office. And these are the fundamentals that I hope all members of parliament that will gather to make a decision, either to accept this bill or to reject it, as the people have already done or shown will indeed play that national duty. I also want to say to the citizens of this country, they should continue to demand what is right for them, like we have demanded the democratization of the governance of this country from the time of Rhodesia to date, passed through the governance of Robert Gabriel Mugabe and ZANU-PF, and also passed through the rule of Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF for the past 46 years. Zimbabweans continue to clamor for the democratization process of their governance, particularly having truly secretive one citizen, one vote, secret ballot vote to establish governments periodically. And therefore citizens should continue demanding in an orderly manner, that like citizens have done, their representatives to really play that national duty, and so that this country can trigger development and attend to various serious problems that face Zimbabweans, even in terms of their security, their survival, in terms of economic opportunities, and all other things that are required to live a better standard of living here on earth. Citizens should continue to demand for what is right, their right to enjoy life. So thank you very much, Ramisha.
All right, can I come in, Mr. Misha? You are muted.
Come in, Joker. You might need to respond to some of the contributions and also Mubamapa's final remarks here. What are you saying to the citizens of Zimbabwe, to the parliamentarians, and others? Comments you may want to make.
Okay. All right. Firstly, I think we need to understand that when we talk about voting, voting is always brought in when there are differing opinions. So by voting, we are trying to use democracy, whereby we are now using the game of numbers to say how many people support this motion and how many. So if we have a majority supporting one thing and the minority supporting the other, it doesn't mean that when the majority is now ruling or doing the work, then those minority will automatically support the majority. It doesn't work like that. People always are different. And also, I want to move on to the issue where you are trying to separate the member of parliament from his or her party. His or her being there is very partisan, and his being there is very representative. And when we talk about the representation, we are talking again in terms of the majority. Because I always find people that has got that issue of saying, if you are a minority, then you say, you've been counted already to be minority. And your idea is good, yes, but you are a minority. Doesn't take away anything from you. You still remain a minority. So if you now say, but if the person is now a member of parliament, representing a constituent, then that person you then say he ceases to be partisan. I don't think that works. He still is partisan. That's why he's representing from the majority point of view. So I will still always come back to say, well, like I had said initially, votes are there just to separate in terms of numbers. And there is no need for secrecy, especially at that level of what we are discussing. But like I said before, that secrecy brings about the sellouts and the issue of maybe some payments or something. If you are supporting something, stand up for it. Mira uonekwe kuti uyu ari kuti zvakati, because hatiti vanhu vanoda kuita kuzohwanda nekuseri kuti ari kutaura kuti zvakati, then kana kunzi mira akapo tikuone kuti kutabata chakati, wakuti aiwa ndiite ndakahwanda kwayabvira pachamubvira yaita zvokuhwanda. We spoke about 4 methods of voting there. The third one yataura yekuti zvokudaidzira kuti yeye ndo zvakaitika izvozvo kumanhirikini at constituent level and at the ground grassroots level yakashandiswa ikoko kuti yes hatina kugara pasi tikati kuconstituent kuri kuitwa 1 on 1, and that is where the importance comes from. You cannot say kuti dai zvakabvira zvarambwa ikoko kuti right, we don't want it to be done that way there, then we carry on to say okay up to the final top. But somewhere along the way, no, it's now more important. If you are representing people, you are representing people. That level of importance, you are now detached from the people that you are representing because you are now more important. As thank you, Mr. Misha.
Thank you, Vajena. Maybe you might respond to this question that I also posed to Kunawaz, and that given the gravity of the decision to be made, who makes the decisions, especially for Parliament, to say which method do we use? Do we use show of hands? Do we use separating the House? Do we use acclamation, or do we use the secret ballot? Who makes the decision, or can the citizens make an input into which method can be used, and if so, how?
Right. In all cases, the citizen is the person who is doing the decision. It's coming from the citizen, but it's just because we cannot put all the citizens there. That's why there's an issue of representation. So if you have got a member of parliament, he has got a certain number of people that is representing, or a certain quota, or a certain constituent, to be precise, that is representing. But it's just a representation or a sample. So there's no much difference there. It still comes back to the citizen. So we cannot give the member of parliament to say is his prerogative to give a decision when his constituent is making another decision. It must not be different. It must be uniform. You are muted, Mr. Misha. You are muted.
Okay, let me give you Mr. Whitehead his final portion before we close the recording. Mr. Whitehead, I had wanted to give you a question on. We remember we mentioned that the voting in Parliament, there are 4 possible voting methods. There's one which is you divide the House. There's show of hands, there's acclamation, and there's secret ballot. Then the question I was posing is, who decides which method do we use? If we know Dr. Zembe said he is not sure he will go and search. The citizens have to make that decision, but maybe the decisions but the mechanism. So from your point of view, and also you give your final word to citizens of Zimbabwe and the members of parliament of the Parliament of Zimbabwe. Over to you, Mr. Whitehead. Yes, go on again. Let me thank you all, our contributors, and as I said, Darera Mija it's a platform where we are going to discuss issues of national interest, of common interest to Zimbabwe. Today, we just needed to discuss this statement by Justice Minister Ziyambi Ziyambi, because the idea is for our citizens to know some of these things may not have been explained to them, but when we debate them, it might begin to make sense to them, or they may also go out and search certain things like Dr. Zembe is going to look into a particular issue which he might not have thought about before. We will come up back again tomorrow, almost at the same time. Those who are watching, who will be watching us, if you've got any topics that you want us to discuss, also put them forward. And also to our panelists, if you have got any topics that you want us to discuss, we appreciate the topics. This is to be an informative platform where we interrogate issues without any favor or without bias, but we are just bringing things to the fore in their entirety, bringing all other perspectives. That's why I liked this particular discussion, because we had two views from different angles. That gives our audience an opportunity to interrogate issues without being made to think in just one direction. So thank you very much, and I hope we meet again tomorrow, almost about the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.